Welcome to the JoJo, the JoJo discussion forum. Yeah, that's what we're calling it now. Uh, but seriously, I do have one change I'd like to announce, mainly in regards to the release schedule, because I know it says daily JoJo chapter reviews, but they're not exactly daily, are they? They're kind of like a few spurts of daily chapter reviews, and then a few days of nothing, and then back and forth and back and forth. And yeah, well, I'm thinking I'm gonna do 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, of these things. Cause I'm not really wanting to spend like terrible amounts of effort on these things, but I still want them to look good. I still want them to be enjoyable to watch or listen to. And there are just some days where I'm just too busy to really do that, and the other life things that I need to do. So we're gonna try Monday through Friday. We're gonna see how that goes. Who knows? Maybe we'll go back to full daily one fuck, how do you call it? 365, 12-month, 24/7, whatever, something like that. But for now, we are doing this. So here's the thing. So the Shonen Jump app just completely omitted the cover page of this chapter. Like it's not in here, and I didn't notice until I was looking through the PDF I have of the colored version of the volume, because I like to go through that to find the thumbnail for the video, because those are all in color. And I noticed it, and I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't in the chapter. No, it totally is. It's just not in the Shonen Jump app. So like, wow, they just completely mishandled this one. But yeah, here it is in black and white, so we can still see it in black and white. It's Jonathan, and he's looking pretty sweet. He's got a feather in his hair. He's got the Great Britain flag all over him, on his chest, on his bracer things. It looks nice. Yeah, I like his belt. He's got these hoop bracelet things on his right wrist. Yeah, he's looking good. I like his pants. Yeah. It's pretty nifty Jonathan drawing. So, yeah, we're still in the tunnel. The Pelly had just hit Jack the Ripper in the face, and his face is melted. And, Zappelli's like, Jojo, you must melt his entire brain in order to prevent it from regenerating. That's the only way you can defeat a vampire. And, so yeah, Jack the Ripper jumps up, and it's that sword that was in, like, the roof of the tunnel that was mentioned a few chapters ago. And it's revealed here that the sword is actually a lever. And it opens this secret passageway thing, which is kind of cool. Before we talk about that, we got a couple of double-page spreads here. And in the Shonen Jump app, they actually look pretty good. Like, you can barely tell where the binding is. Like, yeah, we got the one where it's the gang all looking at Jack the Ripper with the sword in the top of the tunnel. Then there's this close-up of Jack the Ripper's eyes. It looks really, both of these look really good. And I like the Jack the Ripper eye one, because, like, there is so much detail in that. You can see him crying. It's, ooh, look at that. I also want to mention, in the first one, you can see, like, the jaw lines, particularly on Jonathan and Speedwagon. Like, you can kind of see, like, the underneath of their chin, which looks kind of cool. It's doing more of that 3D perspective stuff, which is pretty nice, I must say. But yeah, Jack the Ripper goes into this hole in the wall, and I don't know, it's kind of drawn weird, I guess, but, like, looking at where the sword is in the ceiling, it's, like, right overhead at like the apex of the little arch in the tunnel. And we see in this one panel, the opening is not far away from that sword. So I guess he like flings himself into it backwards or something. But like later when Jonathan goes into the hole, it looks like it's almost on ground level. So that's, yeah, that's inconsistent. But yeah, Jonathan goes in the hole. Not Jonathan, Jack the Ripper goes in the hole, and Jonathan mentions that he heard about the town and how it was used as a training grounds, that it must be a secret passageway built for those warriors. And, yeah, so Speedwagon's wondering if, like, Jack the Ripper is, inviting them to come in, and Zappelli's like, yep, he sure is, but only JoJo's gonna follow him. And then he pours, another glass of wine, and he tosses it over to Jonathan. And he's like, JoJo, go and defeat him without spilling a drop of that wine. And then Speedwagon's like, what the fuck? What are you doing? And Zappelli's just like, JoJo, battle lesson number 3. There's a Norwegian saying, the north wind made the Vikings. That's the name of the chapter, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Chapter 23, North Wind and Vikings. But anyways, yeah, there's a saying, the North Wind and Vikings, and he's going on to say, spill a smidgen of that wine, and even if you defeat him, I will abandon you. And when he says that, there's this really cool panel of him where he looks really serious, and like you can see like the shade from his hat draping over his face. It looks really cool. I like that. Yeah, Speedwagon, of course, is not taking too kindly to that. He's thinking it's way too high stakes. And but Jonathan's like, hey, hold on, Speedwagon. I think I understand. North Wind and Vikings, huh? Is that it? And then Zappelli smirks at him, and Jonathan goes into the passageway. And Zappelli shares a story with Speedwagon, who just looks great right here. And he shares a story with Speedwagon about this fisherman who lived in the Caribbean. And, yeah, there was apparently this terrible man-eating shark around those waters, and the guy was out fishing that one day, and the shark attacked his boat. And while his boat was getting ripped to shreds, his foot got caught in the rubble, and he was pulled underwater. And he was gonna get eaten by the shark, but he took his javelin spear thing, and he cut off his foot, which, by the way, this thing looks a lot like the stand arrow. Like specifically as it's shown in like early part 4. I just wanted to mention that. It kind of looks like a stand arrow, even though it's clearly not for obvious reasons. But he cut off his foot. And, yeah, Spelly's like, not only was that admirable, but, he, instead of running away, he used his wound, the blood from his wound, to bait the shark so he could kill the shark. And, yeah, that's something. That's a real story. And, yeah, the whole point of that is that, hey, adversity makes us who we are. It's kind of the North Wind made the Vikings thing that he was talking about. So he's kind of just using this story as an example to Speedwagon so we can understand what he's doing with Jonathan. Then he says, once again, North Wind is what gave the Vikings backbone. Will that wine make a Viking out of him? If it doesn't, he holds no chance against Dio. Then we cut back to Jonathan. He's down the passageway. He got a torch from somewhere. I'm not sure where he had. Maybe it was like his backpack. He had like some like flint and steel or something so he could light it. I don't know. I guess it's possible that he would just have that in his bag. But he's looking down the hall, and yeah. It's this giant winding maze, which honestly looks pretty cool. Like, if this is a real place, I would definitely want to, like, explore it and look around for a bit. Then he realizes, oh wait, I have fire. I have light. He's going to see me. That's probably not good. And then Jack the Ripper comes swooping out with this weird, torture device thingy. Like, It's like one of those clamp things that you put in your hair. One of those. It looks interesting. Then he like flung himself forward with it somehow. Jack the Ripper did. And he's about to get Jonathan, but instead he like gets this pull column thing, and the knife's cut through the column clean through, which is really weird. But yeah, it like grazes Jonathan, but he doesn't spill any wine, and in fact some of his blood looks like some of his blood goes into the cup, which is we're not sure if Zappelli's gonna like notice that there's blood in the cup, but I don't know. But yeah, I'd like to mention, so like he's throwing this torch out, right? I'd like to mention the posture of this torch is not consistent, and I know that's a really weird thing to bring up, but let's look here. So when we first see it, it's nice and straight. Then the next time we see it, it's got like a Count Dooku lightsaber thing to it, where it's like the bottom of it's bent. Then it's back to straight. And then a couple panels later, it's curved, but it's like curved at the center. And then, yeah, when he throws it, it's still curved at the center. So it's weird. Like, damn. Couldn't tell how curved you wanted your torch to be, Iraqi? Wow. I can't believe that. But yeah, he's thrown his torch away, the fire is out, so there's no light. And he's kind of just walking in the dark, which is... Well, it's a strategy, and it's definitely harder for Jack the Ripper to detect him this way, but... I feel like it would be really easy for Jonathan to, like, accidentally stumble on something and then spill the wine, or whatever. But, yeah, Jack the Ripper is, like, just around the corner. He's got that giant cutter thing. And, he mentions that he can smell his blood, his warm, fresh blood. And that Jonathan is right around the corner. But, Jonathan's breathing in, he's keeping his breathing steady, and he's running through, Zappelli's battle lessons through his mind. So, like, battle lesson 1, put yourself in the enemy's shoes. So he figures he must be close. Then battle lesson 2, own your fear, don't let your breathing go. Alright, he's doing that, he's breathing. And then, yeah, Jack the Ripper's getting a little impatient. He's still staying his ground, but he's getting a little, eager, let's say. And, right at the last second, Jonathan notices something. He notices... In the dark, no less, which is kind of hard to see this in the dark. But he notices that there are ripples in the wine. He's like, oh, huh, there's hormone in this thing. Then he notices that he can feel it through his arm, through his whole body. He can even feel like the ripple going through the ground, and he's able to feel the life force of Jack the Ripper this way. And he figures that this wine must be a hormone detector. So, it's kind of a weird angle, but it plays into the idea of ripples, like, kind of being in everything, which is kind of, sort of, suggested earlier in a few chapters ago, which is kind of a cool thing. Kind of cool to think that hormone really isn't a super human thing necessarily. It's more of like something that's part of life, something that's kind of everywhere. And yeah, you can like tap into it, you can harness that energy, but it's still gonna be there regardless. So I think that's a cool touch. But yeah, we get this really sick close-up of Jonathan's face. Look at that. We get 2 of these, actually. We get 2 of these close-ups. They both look amazing. You can see the fierceness on Jonathan's face. It looks so cool. You can see the wrinkles in his face. It looks really awesome. Yeah, just look at this. No words, just look. Looks amazing. And then he goes to strike the wall, exclaiming that he's found the the vampire zombie, and he says, send no hormone overdrive, and it goes through the wall, the hormone does. And it, like, touches Jack the Ripper's face, and it melts his face even further. And, yeah, Jack the Ripper is defeated. And just, look at that face. Now, that is a face. Alright, that is what you call, yeah, facial features, am I right? Look at that. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And, yeah, I guess, Zeppeli and Speedwagon heard, somehow. Because they're like, wow, looks like the wind made a Viking after all, even though Zeppeli has no way of knowing if any of the wine has been spilled. Well, I guess he would know that at least some of it's in there if it really is a hormone detector. But still, he could have spilled some and, like, Zeppeli wouldn't have known. Maybe. But, yeah, that's the chapter. That's the chapter. So, I want to talk about the chapter naming real quick. Because, like, the other name for this chapter is, what is it? Hormone Overdrive or Ripple Overdrive Part 1. Which is kind of weird, because, like, this is kind of the last chapter of the whole Jack the Ripper thing. Because, like, the last little arc here was called Jack the Ripper and Zeppeli the Strange. And we got Jack the Ripper and Zeppeli the Strange, and then they were both doing things. But, like, and like, this happened again with Youth with Dio, where, like, the first chapter of Youth with Dio was called The Stone Mask Part 4, even though it was in the mansion with the rest of Youth with Dio, and it wasn't really that connected with the rest of the Stone Mask arc. And it's like, who decides when these arcs start and end? Because I disagree with them, like, a lot. But, yeah, a little nitpick over. Yeah, it's the chapter. It's going really good. We beat Jack the Ripper. We'll be out of the tunnel next chapter, and more stuff is gonna be happening. You better believe we're gonna see something next chapter. Hold on to your horses, because it is going to happen. It totally is. Totally is.